The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Africans, wherever we go, we are not respected. And sometimes it isn't the fault of these people who do not respect us, but it is ourselves, because we have turned against ourselves. So any other person will not see the value to be placed on us if we do not love ourselves to bring that unity. And we have allowed ourselves to be divided and be controlled by anybody to do anything they want to us in our continent and outside of our continent. Then I don't think and see the necessity of anybody respecting us. Wherever we go, we are rejected. And even when we are here, that we are supposed to move and unite among ourselves and fight for a better recognition of the African, we still allow ourselves to be used against the same people who are doing everything possible to make sure we are recognized worldwide. Donald Trump, ever since he came into office, made it very clear to us that he do not want to have anything to do with us. And he started it by his inauguration. When he was inviting people to his inauguration, Trump made sure that all the world leaders were present except Africa. No African leader was given an invitation to his inauguration. He didn't see the necessity of having us in his inauguration. Yet the presidents we have had recently before Trump came, when we take Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, US representatives were there. We take Botswana, we take Senegal, and the rest. We saw these people having their representatives there. Invites were given to all of them to come, but they decide who should come and represent them. And when it is somebody else, you know, they themselves will make sure they will be there. Africans were never taken serious by Trump's administration, starting from the leaders. So even if the leaders are not recognized, how much more you and I? And that is why we are seeing the rest of these things that are being done to us. Everybody is closing borders to Africa. Yet Africans do not want to stay in Africa to make Africa a better place. Donald Trump has decided to remove visa waiver for countries. And they've released a list of countries that can come to the United States of America with this visa waiver. And the 54 African countries, none was accepted. This is painful. None. Just like he did when he was inviting leaders to his inauguration. It is the same thing that he did to us this time round. And what is the African leader doing?
To show their distrust and discrimination against Africans. Why do we say so? Because his administration has excluded Africa from this year's visa waiver program. In a list reportedly released earlier this week, the Trump administration has excluded all 54 countries of the world's second largest continent from eligibility for a visa waiver that allows travelers to enter the United States for up to 90 days without a formal visa. In sharp contrast, the Trump administration has included nearly 40 countries in this year's list, most of which are U.S. allies from Europe and Asia. This has raised eyebrows over the ongoing challenges African nations face in securing easier access to the U.S. For years, visa rejection rates for African applicants have been on the rise. Reports indicate that nearly 60% of all students from African countries who applied to study at universities in the United States were denied the requisite F1 visa in 2023. The U.S. authorities have reportedly cited concerns over immigration violations, fraud, and security risks as reasons for rejecting African visas. Moreover, reports suggest countries with high numbers of visa overstays, asylum seekers, or economic instability have also traditionally faced stricter entry standards to the U.S. But interestingly, the U.S. has not raised such concerns for its allies such as Israel, Netherlands, Finland, Germany, France, Norway, South Korea, and Japan, among others. who are included in this year's visa waiver program. So why exclude Africa, a continent that is rapidly growing, has a young demography, and is rich in minerals that drive America's economic interests? Some link this to Trump's policy of doubling down on illegal migration and his hardline stance on border control. Moreover, the exclusion of Africa from the visa waiver program might also be a larger political move to restrict entry from countries that Trump feels have security challenges and implications. This action might further complicate relations between the US and Africa, which have already been deteriorating under Trump. Trump has not been close to any African leader. As president, he has never set foot on the continent. He has made derogatory remarks toward African nations, and in the first month of his second tenure, he has already created diplomatic tensions with South Africa. He has also reportedly begun downsizing the US Africa Command, while he has also frozen foreign aid to several African nations. In light of these developments, the decision to restrict Africans from visa-free entry, which would otherwise promote tourism, business and cultural exchanges with the US, raises serious concerns about the fairness and legitimacy of such policies. Will this policy further deteriorate US influence on the continent?
We saw what happened to the Chief of Staff of Nigeria by Canada when they have to go to Canada for some diplomatic things. He was banned. They rejected the Chief of Staff a visa because they were doing these things to the ordinary people, and we're always quiet because it is not on the big ones. It is not on the politicians. It is not on the prominent people in the society. So we didn't see anything wrong with that. When they even take our money and reject us visas, there was nothing wrong with it. Our leaders didn't see anything whatsoever wrong with that to rise up and fight. Until they did that to the Chief of Staff, that was when Nigeria rose up and saw that it was an insult. Don't we know that it is an insult for these people to reject even the ordinary people? If we should have fought for these ordinary citizens that we don't see them to be necessary, it wouldn't have gotten to the point that a whole Chief of Staff of a whole nation like Nigeria will be denied a visa by Canada. Can Canada come into Africa, live in Africa, and still decide that we cannot move to Canada? Then why did they create that embassy? We have to start to do things to these people the same way they do to us. And it is a wake-up call to the leaders that don't think that because it is on the people you call them ordinary citizens, it is fine. Whoever that these things are meted out on, it is never fine. As long as it is the African, it is never fine. These people will never do that to Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso, that you are fighting them to come to democratic rule. That they will be banning their people not to travel there, and they will allow these people to be coming into their country. It will never happen. They will never allow these people to have the free reign to be trooping into Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso when they are restricting their people. Like Bassirou Diomaye Faye did. If Lebanese are not allowing African women to have their babies in Lebanon, these Lebanese cannot come to Africa and also have their children. That should be the narrative. After rejecting you and saying no, you don't have to come to his inauguration, now they are saying no visa waiver for us Africans to come into America. Why is it that these people are always targeting Africans? And we'll have our leaders who will come out and defend these people, tell us the bad things we are doing, forgetting that these same people also come to the African continent and they have their shortcomings. But we don't always see the shortcomings of these people. All that we see every blessed day is what the African has done wrong, and that is the reason that these yellow pawpaw are treating us this way. But are we saying that these people don't also come to Africa and do otherwise? Why can they get up without a visa and they are able to enter into the African continent? Yet we need visas. Look at the restrictions. Look at the monies that we pay, and at the end of the day, these monies, we are told, are non-refundable. And our leaders are quiet and silent about it. It is okay because it is yellow pawpaw who has kept that system in place. But we cannot put these systems to protect the black people. And at the end of the day, when we rise up and go to our summit, our meeting, all we do is talk about reparation, the injustice that are meted out on the African. If we ourselves are not fighting for the unity, if we are not fighting for the recognition, we can never be recognized. And that is what Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are doing that you don't understand. Because of this ill treatment, because of what these people are doing to the African, that is why they have risen to say enough. It is not about how much we sit to talk. After your summit, what actions have you taken? And with this visa waiver that all African countries, the 54, are cut off, what are you doing? What is the take of the African leader about what the United States of America has done to us? Do we have to sit there and wait when it is on the people that we see that are very influential, the wealthiest, the significant people in our society, the politicians? Is it when it happens to a particular group of people that is when our leaders see that it is an insult? But when it happens to the majority of people that have given us the power to lead them, we sit down and say nothing to that. Africans can never go anywhere. Africans are restricted everywhere. They are deporting us, closing their borders and saying they are doing border cleanup. What are we also doing in Africa here to protect our citizens, to make sure that if these people can never allow us into their continent, we don't also allow them into our continent? What are we doing? Is always the talking all the time? Is it that we always protect our citizens by talking all the time and not rising and putting in policies to defend them? See how everybody is protecting their citizens except the African leader, who always protects the citizen through the State of the Nation, national television address. After that, nothing else. We have seen the kind of treatment we receive. And our leaders, when they are supposed to stand up and fight for us, that is when they abandon us. And that is why wherever we move, wherever we go, we are never respected. And Captain Ibrahim Traore will tell us that he will never leave this beautiful African continent to go anywhere. He always wants to live in Africa. He don't want to have his shores, but offshore bank. Yes, you see the politicians, what they always do. He don't want to go there because these are the things that you have kept there, and they have upper hand on your properties. And that is why whatsoever policies that they are doing against your people, you can never say a word, because you know if you do anything, all those assets that you kept there, that you don't even have full control over, will be frozen. If you should have kept these things in Africa, wouldn't you be able to? How can you take something out of your people and say you are saving it with the enemy? You see, that is what the land hates. The African soil has never allowed injustice. And because you are trying to be injustice towards your people, that is why nature has also allowed you to go and keep your thing, and you will never be able to have sound sleep. Always sleepless night. That is what people are saying, that your offshore accounts, like Captain Ibrahim Traore said, is the reason to which you can never stand up to these people and fight the right battle. Enough of the injustice, enough of the talking. This talking wouldn't help us. Do to these people the same things they are doing to us. If they cannot give us the visa waiver, we can also give them visa waiver. If they are banning us and not giving us money back, we should implement visa to these people. You can't enter the country without any visa. You can't enter the African continent without visa. And when you also come and you overstay, just as they do to us, you know, you can only fight and fish out your own people, but you can never fish out these people that are causing you pain. What is wrong with the African? Enough of the talking. We didn't put you into powers to turn against us. We gave you the mandate to lead us, so you protect and fight for us. That is why we have made you leaders, and you should understand it in that way. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. So let's keep sharing and educating our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are coming. I love you, my family. So that's the latest around the world. And in the United States of America,